Hello, y'all. The Philadelphia Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, meaning the offseason has officially begun. So I thought I'd propose some possible trades that could go down this offseason. Because the offseason is a fun time in the NFL to have predictions, trades, free agency, and of course, the draft. So here today, I will propose 10 players who could be traded this offseason. Enough chit-chat. Let's get into it. First, I want to give some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 10. The first honorable mention will be Cooper Kupp. Kupp is basically confirmed to be traded at this point, and his tenure with the Rams is done. And I like to think Kupp gets traded to Kansas City. Yup, the Chiefs. Guys like Hopkins could be done, and he's certainly not the same receiver anymore, and Cooper Kupp could fill that role up nice and dandy. The second honorable mention will be George Pickens. He's a talented yet very drama-centered receiver. The Steelers draft a lot of these guys. I don't think it's a coincidence at this point. So if Mr. Pickens does get traded because his relationship with Tomlin is done, I think a great fit would be the Dallas Cowboys. Because what could go wrong? And the third mention will be Derek Carr. I don't know who would want Derek Carr at this point, but I'll mention him, I guess. But the Saints might trade his ass to Tartarus, so I'll go with there. Alright, now the 10 players. Number 1, Kirk Cousins. His run in Atlanta did not last a full season after getting hurt and benched for the rookie Micah Parsons. So where should the likely washed Cousins go? Well, since a quarterback in Cleveland stinks and retore his Achilles, I feel he would fit right in there perfectly. By no means should he be the starter for longer than a year though. The Browns should draft a QB, let him sit behind Cousins, then once Kirk Cousins starts to suck, you throw in the rookie and boom! And he's great, like what they did with Micah Parsons last year. Rinse and repeat, baby. Number 2 is Myles Garrett, an obvious contender to be traded, but where to, you may think? And if the Browns will even do it. I believe they will, and let's be honest here, he ain't going to the Ravens, Steelers, or Bengals. The Browns are stupid, but they're not that stupid. Okay, maybe they are. Myles Garrett cap hit is about $19 million in 2025, so what teams can get him? Well, teams like the Patriots, Raiders have the most cap, but Myles wants to go to a contender, not a rebuilding team. Now, there's a few teams that could acquire Myles Garrett, like the Commanders, Chargers, or maybe even the Lions. But for me, a team that I think has a good shot at getting him and should go all in for him is the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay has $40 million in cap space and have the draft picks to do it as well. Heck, the Browns would probably take a first and a third because they're incompetent. But whatever. I think Green Bay has a good shot at Myles. Green Bay struggled getting a pass rush against the Eagles in the playoffs, and Myles would fix that. And I like him better in Green Bay than Washington or the Chargers because in the AFC West, you gotta deal with Mahomes, and although I like the Commanders a lot, you gotta deal with the Eagles. So I feel like Green Bay is a perfect contender in a winnable division. A tough division, but they're not facing the second coming of the GOAT twice a year. So Green Bay's my pick. Number 3 is DK Metcalf. The athletic freak that is DK Metcalf has been in the news for a possible trade. But why exactly? He's young, very productive, and does have small injuries, but is mostly consistent on playing. Well, 2 reasons. 1, if they trade Metcalf after June 1st, they will save $18 million. And 2, they have a young receiver who they haven't paid yet in Jackson Smith, who they could build around, thus replacing him and saving money in the process. Where to? Well, the overwhelming favorite is the Washington Commanders, and it seems to make the most sense, so I say DK is a strong candidate to be a Washington Commander this offseason. Tyreek Hill has made it no secret his frustrations with the Miami Dolphins. Dude wants to win, and the Dolphins just aren't going to. And he said he didn't mean it and retracted his statement. Yeah, right, buddy, I ain't buying that. So where would Mr. Hill land? Well, there's obviously a lot of teams who would love to have Tyreek Hill as their wide receiver 1, but which team is willing to trade for the quickster? I think a great fit for Tyreek Hill would make this team that has already a good receiving core even more lethal. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris Godwin is a free agent coming off an injury, so you can let him walk in free agency, and you can get Tyreek Hill up there with Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan to make that great receiving core into an unstoppable receiving core. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 5, Geno Smith. Mr. Smith has been on a decline since his great year in 2022 and earned himself a big contract, but now he's almost holding the team back. The Seahawks could have easily won the NFC North, but some games they didn't win where Geno was off with his throws and cost the game, and the Seahawks might be looking to move on from the revived journeyman. So where could he go? Well, no team trades for him expect a franchise guy, more so a guy who can be a starter for 1 year or be a starter while a rookie's behind him. And I think a team that makes the most sense is the Las Vegas Raiders. He could reunite with Pete Carroll, and also the Raiders are a team looking to draft a quarterback, and if not, they can just run with Geno this year, and I feel it'd be a win-win situation, regardless of what they do. Number 6, Deebo Samuel has been on the trade speculation ever since last year, and this year the rumors did not stop as he was speculated to be traded before the season started, but he never did. And then the year ended, and it was reported the Niners would release Javon Hargrave for more cap room to keep Deebo, but now Deebo has requested a trade. Sounds like a big mess. Only one way to fix it is to trade the man, but where 2, well, teams like Washington and Pittsburgh will be heavy favorites, but I like the Houston Texans because Stephon Diggs is unknown if he returns, and especially if an ACL tear and Tank Dell's injury, getting Deebo would help the Texans with their lack of wide receiver help because late in the year it was just Nico Collins. There was no other threats on that receiving core. Number 7 is Trey Hendrickson, the 2024 sack leader, whom already requested a trade last year, is making some head waves this year once again. If he does go in the trading block, there'll be a lot of teams looking to acquire this stud of a player. So what team would do it? Well, since this team has a shit ton of money and would like to get another star pass rusher, I feel like Washington would spend the big bucks to get Trey Hendrickson on the defensive line. A already solid defensive line made into a great defensive line with Trey Hendrickson there boosting that team up. Number 8, Davante Adams. Despite being 32 years old, Adams is still playing very good and is still an effective player. He racked over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns in 14 games with 2 teams. Whatever you think of Davante Adams, you can't deny the dude can still play. And with him most likely to be traded from the Jets, where is his destination? Well, in my opinion, it's an easy fit. The Los Angeles Chargers. This gives Herbert a jump ball and deep threat with Adams and still using McConkey as a short threat yardage guy. A great yin and yang, and I think Adams would fit perfectly with a QB like Herbert, especially a guy who has a lot of years on his belt. We go into Jerry's world looking at Micah Parsons, and I'm aware the chances of Micah Parsons actually getting traded are very unlikely, but the Cowboys front office is still considering it, even a little bit, so I'm gonna mention it, damn it. But where do the Cowgirls trade Micah Parsons? Well, Micah would probably want to go to the Eagles because he's a closet Eagles fan and he grew up in Pennsylvania. But we know that ain't gonna happen. And whoever trades for Micah needs to pay him, so they gotta have the dough. And Washington would seem perfect. They're a good young team, they got tons of money, and Dan Quinn is the head coach, which is Micah's former DC in Dallas. But it's the same division, so it's very unlikely. So instead of the Commanders, the next spot that seems most likely for me is the Chicago Bears. As much as Caleb Williams didn't go wild like we thought he would, he still played fine and has a lot of potential. And I think Micah being on the defensive side and Caleb and Ben Johnson on the offensive side could push the Bears over the hump, making them a future playoff team for years to come. So go for it, Chicago. Trade for Micah. Do it. Pay in the big bucks. And finally, the 10th player who could be traded is Maxx Crosby. The 4th rounder star pass rusher was close to being traded during the season this year, and now the rumors are rampant. Yet again. The Raiders got a new coach, and we'll be looking to at least get a new quarterback, be it they trade for one or trade for one. And maybe they want to start a whole rebuild and trade Crosby to get some first-round draft picks. Now, where could this man go, Maxx Crosby? He wants to win, he's made that clear, but from my predictions, there's some teams that I had to cross out, and the team that I think could contend and is very young is the Atlanta Falcons, as Atlanta struggled with the pass rush early in the year. They got better later in the year, but you want to have a solid defensive line throughout the entire year. And I think Maxx Crosby there would push that defensive line to a very good defensive line. And especially Michael Penix, a guy who played pretty solid in the games he saw him play, this team could easily be a playoff team for years to come. So my prediction is the Atlanta Falcons. And that is Davidia. Thanks for watching, Davidia. And I will see you guys in the next one, whenever that may be. Thank you for watching. Did you like my trades? Did you think they're stupid? Did you think they're predictable? Let me know in the comments below. See you. Goodbye. Have a good day.